Welcome back to Dub's Domain. Nope, I did it again. I'm not doing.
I was gonna tell you to
use
stop
that.
recording.
I am not. Hey everyone, welcome back to Dub's Domain. I'm your host Eli, and I'm with my friend Nate.
What's up, guys? How's it going? What's up, Eli? How's it going, man?
It's pretty good. How's your day so far?
Man, did some school, took a nice nap, but other than that, I'm
Nice.
good. I just woke up, so I'm ready to talk about the amazing Warriors. Honestly, we're just so good this year, so let's do it.
Amazing, huh?
Yeah, that was
That's pretty-
sarcastic.
I wish we were amazing.
Yeah, complete sarcasm. It's all right.
But you know who is amazing? Mr. Chef Steph. Look at Curry, man. So inspirational.
No, he is so good. We just want to talk about the Nuggets game, man. Oh my goodness. Ooh, watching that game gave me chills, man. Especially, I got spoiled. I was like starting the game a few minutes late, and I had already checked my fantasy score, so I saw that he had already gotten 21 points in the first quarter, which is ridiculous in its own right. But then I went back and watched it. Didn't check my phone for like 2 hours, and just watching him, just greatness, man. It's just incredible. And I think we're so spoiled because we've been watching it for so long. Man, he's just amazing. And when you kind of take for granted how good he is, I feel like it's not as cool to watch. But when you really think about like every single night, it's just, I don't want to take for granted how good he is. It's just so amazing to watch every day.
Yeah, I mean, even though this season you might call it a disappointment in some ways, I mean, Steph has certainly not been a disappointment. I mean,
At all.
I remember during the game, Bob Fitzgerald was like, hey, we were talking about, I think it was Fitzgerald, it might have been Kalena, but either way, they were saying how they predicted that Steph was going to come out and try and get that 19 he needed to beat Will in the first quarter, and then he did. And they were like, oh, heck yeah. But yeah, it was awesome. Obviously, he had 50-something points.
53
points. And just over the last, I mean, it almost seems like that stumble he took on the Rockets bench where he ended up hurting his butt. It almost seemed like that.
It boosted him, I swear.
Yeah, it did something. I mean, over the last 7 games since he came back from that injury, he's averaged 38.4 points per game, making 6.03 threes per game, shooting 50-40-90 club, 54% from the field goal, 46 from 3, and 91% from the free throw line, which is actually 91% for the free throw line isn't that amazing for Steph.
Yeah, it's not good for him, to be honest.
Yeah, but nonetheless, those are absolutely insane numbers.
Yeah, and I don't know what got into him, but man, you see how aggressive he was this game. Like, that's what I noticed. Like, when you think about it, like, I feel like a lot of people compare. We were talking with a couple of our buddies earlier today and yesterday about just James Harden and like how he can go off and just go crazy scoring. And we were saying like if Steph wanted to do it, like you can see that he could do it if he just was that aggressive every single night, not trying to get everyone else involved, not always going for like the right play, just hucking up shots. Like easily could do this so often. So I don't know. I love arguing about that, but he's just he's amazing.
Yeah, he's insane. I mean, we saw, although I kind of was hoping he would fight for, or maybe like hit a couple more threes to get in that conversation of beating that record.
Yeah.
You know, you could see in the fourth quarter, he was like, I'm going to take these threes, but he missed them, but it's fine because he started driving and got to the 53. But I mean, if he was doing that all game, every game, then he would easily be averaging 35 probably.
Yeah, that's what
he
Fitz
wouldn't
said.
be winning as much. But
in the beginning of season, Fitz was like, you might see Steph take like 33s this game, which if he wanted to, he could, and he'd easily make 15 out of 30.
And nobody would be mad.
Yeah, on a good night, you know? So it's just amazing. Passing Wilt's record, becomes the all-time leading scorer for the Warriors.
Right. And, you know, one of my favorite – I was reading something the other day, and, you know, one of my favorite, like, things about that stat is that this might sound confusing, but Curry is the only one of the currently active players who have a franchise's point record that is still on the team, which they have the point record for. So what that means, right, is, for example, I'm going to ask you to guess who some of them are. There are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. I'll give you the first one. Obviously, LeBron. He has the point record on the Cavs, but now he plays for the Lakers. So that's what that means, right? So there's 7 other people in the league who have a point record for one team, but they're now on a different team. So can you think of any?
I think,
or try and guess them.
I would think KD for the Thunder, but I'm not sure. It's my first guess.
No, it is
Wow.
the Thunder player, but it's not KD.
Oh, so it's Westbrook.
Yep,
Wow.
Westbrook
Okay.
is one of
You've
them.
got Kawhi on the Raptors and the Spurs. No, yeah, Raptors and Spurs maybe, unless he didn't have a
No,
50
but
point game.
again, they're someone from the Raptors.
Shoot, the Raptors now. Um, I'll go back
He
to that one.
used to be on the Raptors, but not anymore.
Yeah, gotcha. I'll go back to that one. Man, this is actually tougher than I realized. Players who've left. Paul George with the Pacers.
That is a good guess, but no. I think Reggie Miller might still have that record. I could be
Gotcha.
wrong on that, but
Guys that have gone off.
I'll give you a hint for this guy's team because this is another one of the easier. There's 4 pretty easy ones. You already got 2 of them, and then there's 4 bit harder ones. This guy used to play for the Hornets.
Kemba.
Yes, Kemba is one of them.
I didn't know Kemba had the Hornets record. What did he go for? Do you know? I didn't know he had a 50-point game.
Oh, this isn't in one game. Sorry, this is total.
Okay.
This is like what Curry's record is.
Yeah.
Since Curry just passed Wilt.
Yeah. Okay. So then you have LeBron and
so think long time on that team.
My brain is farting now. But that was one of the easier ones?
Yes.
Sheesh. Man, this is too difficult. It's because I can't think of any players right now.
Yeah, all right. How about
give me more hints.
Okay. This guy used to play on the Grizzlies, but is no longer on the Grizzlies.
Kyle Lowry?
The Grizzlies. But no, not Kyle Lowry. He did play for the Grizzlies, but he didn't play there for very long.
Okay.
He's a point guard, though.
Oh, I was going to say Marc Gasol, but okay, that's not it. What point guard played for the Grizzlies?
He's on the Jazz now.
Wait. It's Conley?
Yes, sir.
That's Mike so surprising. Is that one of the easy ones?
No, that was one of the harder ones.
All right, give me the best one. That was difficult.
All right, so for the Raptors one, it was DeMar DeRozan. Long career, absolute amazing scorer. So
yeah,
that one might make more sense. Dwight Howard, also another probably obvious one, but it was a while ago.
I was never going to guess that.
So yeah. Anthony Davis on the Pelicans, which is funny because he didn't play there for that long, but he does have the record. Yeah. And finally, the one that I didn't think you would guess if given a million years, he used to play on the Nets. Now he plays on the Bucks.
Brook Lopez?
No
way. The Nets suck, dude. Wow.
That will probably be broken soon because of KD, Kyrie, and Harden on their team.
Yeah.
But yes, Brook Lopez is the franchise scoring leader.
Never would have guessed that. You're right.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's fun. That's interesting. I didn't realize how it was, but
yeah. And it's amazing and just a testament to Curry's loyalty that he.
True. Yeah.
He's still with the team.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that he beat Wilt because Wilt had the record and he was on the Warriors for way less time than Curry is going to be and already has been. So
yeah, I think someone said like just passing Wilt in anything. I think it was like Richard Jefferson, like passing Wilt in anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just ridiculous. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, but going back to that to the Nuggets game, I mean, another one of my favorite things that I love to see in that game was with Wiseman being out, which sucks, but Juan Toscano-Anderson got some more run time, and I mean, he looked good. He always looks good. I don't know why we stopped giving him minutes for a while there, but every game he plays, I'm like, is so solid.
He's an impact player.
Right. Yeah, he's like a Draymond light. Like
I feel that.
Is like if Draymond is an A tier for what he does, JTA is like a C tier for what he does, which is still great coming off the bench. I mean, everyone could use a C tier Draymond. So I really love that from him. And speaking of Draymond.
Yeah, Draymond had like a crazy game. I mean,
I know.
Was it 18 points? 7 of 8 shooting, 2 threes, 2 of 2. I mean, I was like, he started hitting threes. I was like, bro, can you imagine if Draymond like went back to this form?
Yeah,
man,
like that. He reminded me of 2016.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. And he was close to 40% that year. I mean, which is unthinkable now because now he's like whatever he is, 20%.
Yeah.
So It was great to see it though.
20%. That's like my
It was
shooting
really,
percentage.
yeah,
Not
for
even
real.
gonna lie. Uh, and then obviously, unfortunate news in the last minute or so. I mean, just prayers up.
Oh man.
Prayers for Jamal Murray. That was so tough to see. I mean, and you could tell immediately that it was
Yeah.
something
We
pretty
we both
bad.
said like we could
Yeah,
see like it looked like something tore, and
yeah,
so that in that moment, it's like when you see a knee injury, or like any injury, you're always like hopeful. But for some reason,
yeah,
like with this one, I was just like, I had no hope. I was like,
yeah.
this guy
Absolutely,
is
it
out.
was
And
really bad.
it's
Yeah, I
so
mean, you
sad.
could
There's so many
see.
injuries, man. You can see it
Yeah,
happen. You're right.
yeah. The injuries thing. I it's kind of interesting because there's two factors that might, well, one is this season 72 games. We obviously know that it's shortened because of COVID, but also it was shortened in length as well
Yeah.
because of the Olympics this summer. And we have to finish up before the Olympics, which I didn't even think about until I was talking to my dad about it. And he was like, oh, the Olympics are making the season shorter. And I was like, I didn't even know that. And so a lot of the
Yeah.
games are closer together. Like the Nuggets, I think they had like 6 games in 9 days or something like that, which is
Might have been
crazy
eight
for the past
even.
few
Yeah.
years. Yeah. And so, I mean, obviously, there's not much that we can do about it at this point. It sucks. It really does suck to see so many guys going down, especially Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, I feel so bad for
It's
you Nuggets
devastating.
fans.
Yeah.
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 I mean, having gone through many really bad injuries as a Warriors fan,
Jeez,
we
for
feel
real,
bad
man.
for you, Nuggets fans.
And even just like Jamal Murray as a person, man, like he's always been one of my favorite players in the NBA. I just love his game and just his heart. And he works hard every night, you know.
Yeah.
And he plays through a lot of injuries. I mean, you remember the bubble? He was dealing with like 50 different things. So it sucks to see him go through like a really big one. He's always had these small ones, but so
Yeah.
devastating.
He said before, like, he feels like he's never healthy. And then he just got back from an injury. And then he got
A knee
injured really
injury.
badly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was a really bad injury. It's just, yeah, it's really unfortunate to see. I definitely fell in love with him last year in the bubble. I think a lot of
yeah.
people did. So to see him go down like this is definitely tough.
Well, we're gonna move on from the sad stuff, but actually, I mean, you can consider this sad if you want. So just back to the Warriors, kind of in general. I have a lot of thoughts on just the way the season's going. Steve Kerr has been coaching this team for, I think we were both surprised. I think it was like 7 years was like the anniversary, right? A couple days ago, or obviously not the anniversary. It was like either 7 or 8 years that he's been coaching, which feels insane because it feels not that long ago that he came. So, just the way Kerr's been coaching, um, this is kind of a pretty broad discussion, but like, what are you thinking with the way he's been coaching, the way he's been using Wiseman, the way we have these young guys, how is he balancing playing them while trying to win at the same time? Like, just what are your general thoughts?
Yeah. So, I mean, this Nuggets win felt great. But it almost makes me feel like we're going to lose to the Thunder tonight just based off of how the season's gone so far. It's been so like inconsistent.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think part of that is just the inconsistency. It's just reflecting the inconsistency of our front office and the coaching and like Bob Meyers, Steve Kerr. I mean, like I mentioned last time, it just really feels like for the first time the Warriors don't know what they're doing. And
Mm.
for Kerr specifically, obviously, he is a great coach. And the reason he is such
Yes.
a great coach is because he makes good teams like that 2015 year, that 2016 year. Those are good teams. He makes good teams great. He
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily make bad teams good, which what we have this year is a bad team. And so
Mm.
I just think it's part of why we haven't seen just success after success after success like we did in the past with Kerr.
Yeah. That's a really, great way of putting it. And I think, he has a very, very, very specific style of offense and
Right.
defense, but in particular on his offense. And it's always been surrounded by ball movement, by shooters. And
Mm-hmm.
I think you were telling me this the other day, like if you can't pass the ball like effectively, like you're not going to play. And, we've seen that we were here saying, we hope Wiseman can play more because we wanted to see him. Obviously, we'll talk, the Wiseman injury, but um, just the way he doesn't really play centers that often. He's
Yeah.
always been that way. Even when we had Andrew Bogut, who was essential to that championship team,
Right.
it was always a guy like Andre Iguodala, finishing the game. A center really never finished the game. That's how it's been all 7 years he's been here. Um,
Hmm.
and so, just when we have a Wiseman that we're trying to develop, but his offense is so specific against centers, not necessarily against centers, but against, guys who aren't good passers, like you were saying. It's just really difficult to develop guys while also trying to be, a good team, and how is he going to make us a good team if he can't change his style of offense? And,
Yeah.
one thing I like to say is like, you surround your team with a good coach. You don't surround your coach with a good team. Like you don't change your team to fit the coach, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Interesting. Uh, because I would argue that yes, in a lot of cases that is very true. You're not going to change your entire team just because um I can't think of a bad coach right now. Just because Luke Walton says I want a different team, the Kings
Yeah,
aren't
yeah,
going to do that, right?
right.
But I would say with a coach like Kerr, I would change the team to fit the coach because he's proven how amazingly effective he has been with that. He has proven how effective he's been. I mean, we have 3 championships because of his system, and I think
It's true.
it's the problem is not necessarily Kerr in so much as it is just the front office not giving him the players he needs because the Warriors whole system, everything, the whole Warriors franchise right now should be focused on Curry and maximizing Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green's prime. But that's not what we're doing right now. Right now,
Yeah,
Lake Up and everyone is like just focusing on trying to make it so that when those guys fall off, which will probably be pretty soon here, who knows, maybe one of them will be inhuman and never retire, but the chances of that are very small. And so we're trying to prepare for this future after these guys, but it's hurting our present. It's hurting our right now, and it's not making
mm,
it so that we're going all in. And I
yeah,
honestly, I think that's a problem. I think that double dipping thing isn't working.
yeah. And I obviously 100% agree with you. It's not working. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, and it's true that with Kerr, we've seen his system works. We've seen that when you have those players that are in the system, he can do amazing things with it. But I think, we keep saying how Kerr is trying to keep his system the same way. He's been going the whole season, but at some point he has to see, in my opinion, that it's not working. The front office
Mhm.
didn't give you the team you wanted, but that's, you can't cry about it. You can't just do nothing about it. You can't let the
Mhm.
team suck. At some point during the season, you have to say, you know what, we have to make some changes to fit the roster we have. It's not ideal. I'd rather have a better roster that fits my system, but I have to work with what I've got. And I think he hasn't been doing that.
Yeah. And I think that I mean, I'd say the reason that we haven't really seen that this season is because the moment Klay Thompson got injured, we stopped caring about this season as much. Um, and
Yeah,
so if
it's
we
true.
had Klay back and like for example, I think I 100% agree with you for next year. I think next year, I mean, this offseason is absolutely vital. We talked about how last season was vital and hitting on our draft pick and stuff, but it was vital because we had Klay and we had a thought, oh, maybe we could compete again. It
Yeah,
ended up not being super vital, but this offseason is huge. There are a lot of things that we need to happen in this offseason in order to come out and be competitive next year. And
yeah,
part of that is um, drafting right, which Bob Meyers has had problems with. Um, I mean, Wiseman is his crown jewel. Like this is his baby. If Wiseman does not pan out, then Myers has failed.
right.
To be quite frank, and then we also need Wiseman this offseason to improve a lot, and I think
Oh
he
well.
can. We heard that he's working out with Kevin Garnett. Sounds great. I would
Mm,
love him to work with Kevin Garnett. I mean, Kevin Garnett's amazing, and I see there is times where I see that potential of a Kevin Garnett light in James Wiseman. He just needs to work at it and come out next year looking strong. And then we have to
Yeah.
talk about what if he doesn't do that? What if he comes out and looking bad? Our draft pick is looking like a rookie, which is fine. We just can't have a rookie taking up a rookie like Wiseman was this year. We can't have that type of player taking up valuable minutes next year if we're truly trying to compete. So I think that's where the decision needs to come in. If next year we come out and Wiseman has not improved, we need to start talking about Kerr or start talking about Meyers or start talking about Wiseman. I mean, we have to
Yeah.
take one of those.
Yeah, you can't, and you're right. That's like having 3 feet in or 2 feet in, I guess, and then 1 foot out. Like it's just so,
Yeah.
like you said, double dipping. It's like you keep saying we just can't decide which direction to go. But I do think, when it comes to this summer, like obviously the first thing that happens is the draft.
Right.
And we're going to see what the front office is going to do, or hypothetically speaking, what they do at the draft night will dictate how the rest of the offseason will go. I think it's highly possible that we do trade both our picks this year. I personally don't want to do that just because of how loaded the draft class is. But it's definitely possible to do that. If they do that, it shows that include that we are going for all in right now, screw the development, like capitalize on their prime, Curry's prime, and go for it. But then if we use the pick, how are we going to use the pick? Are we going to draft a player that's going to fit Steve Kerr's system? Or are we going to draft another guy like Wiseman who is the opposite of Steve Kerr's system?
Right.
It's frustrating because it does feel like they don't know what they're doing. So I really, really hope that on draft night, we will get an idea of the direction we're heading next season.
Yeah. So let me ask you something. If we do hit on our draft picks or we trade them for someone solid, not another star, but someone solid, if Wiseman does come out looking great, if Oubre stays and Clay continues to shoot as well, obviously he won't be as good defensively. But if he is some semblance of himself, do you think we can come out next year and compete for a championship?
Oubre stays.
Yes. Off the bench.
So Oubre off the bench.
Say we get Suggs.
Are we trading our draft picks or are we keeping our draft picks?
Say we draft Suggs and draft another solid guy with our own pick who won't get many minutes, but doesn't matter.
Yeah. So Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond, Wiseman, assuming Wiseman has developed off the bench, a guy like Suggs, a guy like Oubre. Depending on who else we pick up in free agency, I do think that's a competing team. Like I do really believe that. Trying to get rid of my bias as a Warriors fan, I do think that is a competing team, even with a team like the Lakers, just because of the brilliance of Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. That big three, I really think can carry the younger guys.
I mean, I would love to have your optimism. I can't see this team plus Klay Thompson and then plus another young guard who's going to be making mistakes, who's going to be turning the ball over. I don't know that I can see them. I can see them in 4 or 5 seed in the West, right? Which, let me tell you something. The West, or even just the whole NBA at this point, the top of the tippity top, there's the Nets. And then there's a bunch of other teams that are really, really good. And then there's a bunch of teams that are really good and a bunch of teams that are mediocre. There's not like 2 or 3 amazing teams and everyone else is decent. Like the parity in this NBA and the NBA today is way more than it was a few years ago. And the spot that we'd be competing for is the quote unquote toughest spot to compete for, in my opinion, because of how close everyone in that area is. I mean, next year it'll probably be well, who knows how quick Jamal Murray will come back. Hopefully he comes back early, but it'll probably be like the Nuggets, the Jazz. I mean, I think the Pelicans, the Mavericks, the Trailblazers. I mean, that's 5 teams I just named right off the top of my head without even thinking that will be competing for that 4 or 5. Yeah, the Suns, absolutely. That will be competing for that 4 or 5 spot. The Suns might be a little bit better, but who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah. And so those are teams we're going to have to compete for. And then if we fall to the bottom of that, we're out of the playoffs or we're in the play-in game. And then we might make it to the 8th seed, which is just so crazy that this team, I think back in 2015, 2016, we would have been a 6th seed. Like no doubt about it, 5 seed, no doubt about it. Just because the lower 4 or 5 seeds in both conferences weren't as strong as they are now.
Right.
So I think the tough thing will be getting to the playoffs. If we can get to the playoffs as a 4 seed and the Lakers aren't the 1 seed, we have a chance.
Man, I mean, it's a good point, but I yeah, and it's true that like, I think I am putting a lot of pressure on a guy like Jalen Suggs to come in the NBA and just be an immediate impact player. But I think my reference point is a guy like LaMelo Ball that came in this year, and none of us can deny like LaMelo has shown signs that in a couple of years he's going to be a superstar. In my opinion, I think he's shown that. Just the way he's come in the league with his confidence. A lot of times rookies struggle with that efficiency, with turning the ball over, but LaMelo has been really good, from 3-point range. He's setting up his teammates, making the right plays. And I see a lot of that in Jalen Suggs. And that's why I love him so much. And that's why I want to draft him so much. But it's very possible that I'm putting way too much pressure because the way LaMelo came out this season is rare,
Right.
He was amazing. So it truly, I think, depends on how impactful our rookie can be, how Wiseman comes out, and also the development of guys like Jordan Poole, Eric Paschall, because Eric Paschall in particular, like all rookie first team last year and has been
Injured
not really
like the
bad,
whole year.
but he's been
he came out great and then he got injured and he hasn't been able to find his groove again.
Yeah, he's just not been an impact player. I think he just hasn't been a guy who changes the game. So, but I stick by it. I think I have confidence in Curry. I think any team that has a healthy Steph Curry, a healthy Klay Thompson, even if he's a shell, a slightly, smaller shell of his former self, and a Draymond Green, plus Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre, James Wiseman, like I think the supporting cast is much better next year. I just have confidence in a guy like Steph Curry, but we'll have to wait and see,
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely love for you to be right. I would love to get back to competing for a championship. But I mean, let's talk about the other side of the spectrum. If the Timberwolves pick starts or falls in the top 3 and we don't get it, if our pick ends up like our Warriors pick ends up being someone not super good, I just want to, and Wiseman comes out and doesn't look great either. I just want to think about like, I know for a while there we were like, oh my gosh, Bob Meyers, light years ahead. He's one of the greatest GMs in the league. But like, let's talk about what he's actually done. I think his best move of his career was drafting Draymond in the second round. He also got Barnes in that draft, but I mean, Barnes was drafted too high for where, in my opinion. Trading for Iggy is arguably also his best move. And then his other moves that were notable as hiring Steve Kerr, signing Livingston, and obviously signing KD. But to be honest, signing KD was barely him. It was mostly Draymond and
Steph,
team. Yeah. So, I mean, thinking about that kind of stuff, it's not that great. And so it makes me question, like, if we come out again next year and have something happen where we're like, are you kidding me? Now we have to wait more years, or like, oh, this year isn't the year again, or if we just underperform, it honestly makes me start to question whether Myers is the right GM for the Warriors.
And I mean, it's true that, I agree that he's definitely had like a sense of this guy is the best GM in the league, even though he's not. But I think for me, I'd like to give him a little more credit than we are giving him now, just because when you compare what he's done to every other GM in the league, he's actually not that bad. You're not, and we're not, before, obviously when we won the championship and went 73-9, that makes us a large market team. We're not a small market team anymore. But for years, the Golden State Warriors have been a small market team. It's not like we had that attraction that the Knicks had, the Lakers had, the Clippers, not the Clippers.
Yeah, because we were terrible too.
Exactly. There was a thing I saw a couple of days ago that was like when Steph Curry wasn't on the Warriors, we were worth about $400 million. And since he's been on the Warriors, that's blossomed to $4+ billion.
Yeah, that's insane.
And I think that's just a result of everything we've done. And I think a little of that does have to be given to Bob Meyers. Obviously, Bob Meyers didn't draft Steph Curry, but he did draft Draymond, and he did sign KD, and he did sign all these other guys that helped us win those championships. And I'd like to give him a little more credit just because, we would not be here if, well, who knows what what another GM would have done. We just can't say that. But I think just the way he was able to get the guys that he got. It's not like I said earlier, it's not like you can say it's bad because no other team, or not no other team, but few other teams have been able to do what he's done. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Really quickly looking up Harrison Barnes' draft year, 2012. I was just looking to see who. I mean, we could have got Andre Drummond. Okay, no one else really in this draft was that good. Miles Plumlee, I guess. Never mind. But anyways, I agree with what you're saying. He does deserve a lot of credit. It's questionable. Wow, that's not a word. It's questionable, some of the moves he's made, because his strong suit is signing people and getting people to come to his team, because that's what he was before he became a GM, is he was an agent. He was a really good agent. And so I think right now, I would like him to be the right guy for the job, because for him to be the right guy for the job, we would be needing veteran people. We would be needing stars or close to stars to come to our team. Hey, maybe he'll get Kawhi to come next year. We have no idea. We'll just trade Wiggins and Draymond and everyone, and we'll get Kawhi. We have no idea what will happen in the future. But yeah, I just don't want to be like, oh, Myers is the best ever.
Oh yeah, and I do agree. Like, I think for a little while I was kind of on that boat, just saying, just trust in Myers. But no, I do completely agree. Like, he's definitely been a little overrated, but I also don't want to take away all of the credit. Like, he's been a relatively good GM in my opinion, just when you compare to the rest of the league.
For sure. Sorry. I guess I want to talk about, unfortunately, another injury. James Wiseman went down with that meniscus tear, and he's getting surgery later this week. And then the time for torn meniscus time out, it can vary from 4 weeks at the earliest, which is like a month, to several months. We could have a Jaren Jackson Jr. case where Jaren Jackson Jr. got it and then has been out the whole year. So I just wanted to talk about how that's going to impact the rest of the season.
Yeah. In the case of Jaren Jackson Jr., the Grizzlies have been incredibly slow and completely not transparent with how his progress has been. I think he was healthy like a little while ago, and they just haven't rushed him back, which is okay. So it just depends, are the Warriors going to take that slow of an approach with him, or are they going to go, they're not going to rush him back, obviously.
Yeah, I don't want them to.
Yeah, neither do I. So we'll see if he's out for the rest of the season. Obviously, I think with him out, Looney's our only center now. Kind of back to what we talked about a few episodes ago, with just not having a big presence is going to be an issue. We're going to see a lot of Draymond and Eric Paschall running the small five when Pascal's back from injury. And so, this is where Paschall and Draymond work well. That's the thing. Draymond, when he started going on that assist run, like where he was getting 12 plus assists each game, that was when he was playing small ball five. So we'll see. Maybe that'll, elevate Paschall and Draymond again. And we might see some more minutes from JTA too. It's just a lot of things that, we'll see what Kerr has in store for the lineups and, the rotations, stuff like that.
Yeah, we saw when Paschall was his most consistent scoring-wise and offensively before he got his injury, was when he was playing small ball center off the bench. And so I think he's expected to come back either next week or the week after, but nonetheless, he should have a good at least 10, 15 games probably to play the backup center. And so hopefully we'll get some of his momentum back and finish strong, because I really want him to finish strong.
Yeah, and I mean, other than that, just looking at the Thunder game tonight, this is a game. I mean, we should beat the Thunder. I
Yes.
looked at if you go on ESPN, it gives you like the leading score for each team. Lou Dort's our leading scorer with about 12 points per game. Not to discredit Lou Dort, he had like
Oh, is
42.
Shea not playing?
Shay's been injured for several
Uh,
weeks with a foot injury. So
I did not know that.
he actually is not their leading scorer because he hasn't played enough games. So
Oh,
the Thunder have had some of the worst lineups in like ever. If you look at some of their starting lineups, they've been really bad
Yeah.
without Shea. So it's a game we should win. Dort's a really great defender, so he'll be definitely trying to lock up Curry. We'll see what happens there. And so, we might see more minutes from JTA, some minutes for Poole. Maybe play the guy we did, Gary Payton. I mean, again, I get confused when we sign guys and then don't play them.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I would love to see some Gary Payton minutes. Lou, I mean, you talk about Lou Dort's defensive efforts. I mean, Lou Dort had a career night last night. He had 42 points, which is absolutely crazy. I mean, I remember the bubble when that was the first time I heard about him. He was like great at defense, and he scored like 20 points one game, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, he has played insane." And then he had 42. But the funny thing is, the Thunder still lost by 10. To be fair, they were playing the Jazz, but he literally, I'm pretty sure he had 42, and then the Jazz had 96. So he had close to half of their points.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not super worried about this game tonight. I hope we do get out to an early lead, like you were saying, so we can throw some minutes at the younger guys. But overall, I'm pretty excited about how this game will turn out. It might be a more fun one to watch, quote unquote, because we might be demolishing, but hopefully we do demolish.
And like you said, with the way the season's gone, I don't want to get too cocky considering we've lost to some pretty bad teams. So,
right. Yeah. All right. Well, that'll do it for today's episode. Thank you so much if you have gotten to this point, and we could not emphasize enough how grateful we are that you listened. It truly means a lot. If you enjoyed the episode, go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. It'd help us out a bunch. If you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe, like the video, and share it with friends. Well, I guess we'll catch you next time, and dubs were made.